It's time for another Pat the Flip reading video. Today's topic is, how do I find a fighting game that I want to stick to? And I'll be reading it while playing some Capcom vs. SNK 2. If you like this, please drop by patreon.com/pattheflip to check out the rest of my work, ask me questions, and help me pay my bills. Thanks for listening. Hey Pat, I've been reading all your articles the past while. They've been lots of help, especially with things like burnout and practice. One of my current struggles in this golden age of fighting games is committing to a select few games to learn. I love so many fighting games, and whenever I see someone do something cool, I'm like a squirrel running to stuff my face with knowledge until the same feeling happens and I'm on to the next game. My mind for my fighting game growth sees this as a bad thing, and it's almost like I lack an identity. It almost feels like I have fighting game ADHD. You've covered the topic before with cross-training in fighting games is a good thing, but I'm looking to find the one. I'd like to be able to focus better instead of chugging from the fire hose of knowledge so I can see better progress. Have you had similar experiences? And what led you to dedicate your time to Rev 2 over other games? So much of the experience of playing fighting games is learning to go deep and feel the rewards of growing over time. And it's harder to see those rewards when you feel like you're constantly hopping from one game to another before anything gets a chance to really click. It kind of reminds me of seeing some of my friends run through the online dating gauntlet. If they're there just to meet people and have some fun, it's a good time. But if they're explicitly focused on finding a serious relationship, the process feels completely different because they're judging their matches based on an estimation of whether that person fits into a specific life trajectory they're hoping to hit. The short answer to what led me to dedicate my time to Rev 2 over other games is that it took over 20 years of playing fighting games to have the experience and the sense to recognize that Rev 2 is 200% my shit. I do continue to play other fighting games, of course. I still practice and compete in +R and CvS2, and I'll mess around with whatever the new game of the month is. But Rev 2 is where I focus my efforts, and that's because I feel better about playing Rev 2 than anything else. I'm not exercising restraint in choosing to play Rev 2 most of the time. It doesn't require effort to stop myself from playing the other games. If anything, I have to motivate myself to play around with other games because I know I just want to play Rev 2. Of course, it wasn't always like this. I came up in the arcades where I'd focus on CvS2 and Guilty Gear XX, but I'd enter brackets for anything we had in the weekly rotation. When Xrd first dropped, I played it alongside a couple of other games, and I actually didn't go too deep in it. I'd enter Xrd tournaments and I'd net play a bit, but I didn't really put much effort into studying the game or practicing anything. I liked Xrd because I liked playing as Chip, but I was still deep into Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and Street Fighter 4 at the time, and I had a stronger connection to those games because I had a stronger connection to those communities. But eventually I decided to stop playing Marvel 3 because I saw the kind of work higher level players were putting in, and I didn't want to go there. And then as Street Fighter 4 was supplanted by Street Fighter 5 and I wasn't into the kind of game that Street Fighter 5 was designed to be, I came back to Rev 2 and I discovered that it did all the things I valued most in a fighting game, and I've been here ever since. Every time a new game comes out, I play it to see if I like it more than Rev 2, and the answer is always no. It's nice to be here. Most fighting game players are forever in search of the game that gives them all the things they want. Every new game that comes out is a new possible obsession, a new stage with a new audience, a new venue to test your strength and will, a new clout content generation engine. And if this game doesn't do what you want it to do, there's always another game coming down the pipe that might be it. But when you know you got something good going on, when you know that the game you love is the game that loves you back, you are free from the cycle of desire. It is liberating to stand apart from the never-ending loop of building up hope and hype during a new game release, and then seeing it crash on the rocks of reality. You get to sit down and enjoy the games for what they are, instead of choosing them based on what you hope they'll do for you, and who you could imagine yourself being if you played them. Unfortunately, in fighting games, as in dating and relationships, I don't think it's easy to skip to the happy ending. In dating, we smash our lives up against someone else's over and over again until we're either stuck together forever or we decide it's not going to take. And when we do it again with someone else, we're a little more aware of what we want and don't want in our lives than we were before. Fighting games are the same. If your attention is constantly being pulled from one game to another, take that as a sign that you're not quite ready to settle down quite yet, and just enjoy the ride. Trust that eventually you'll find a game that makes you want to play it over the others, ride that wave, and see where it takes you. It may not be love at first sight. In fact, it probably won't be. I kept Xrd Sign and Rev 1 at arm's length because I wasn't ready to deal with Elfelt and Ramlethal's nonstop corner pressure. I came back to Rev 2 knowing exactly what I was getting myself into, and also knowing why I wanted it now, and I didn't want it before. So rather than advise you on how to get there faster, I'd suggest that you have faith that you will one day find a game that makes you feel that way, and enjoy the winding path you take to get there. Yes, it is suboptimal in the sense that if you already knew where you were going, you could start getting there earlier. But since you cannot know that, you might as well just learn what you can from everything you play on your way there. Because when it comes down to it, the one constant in all your fighting game relationships is you. And while you may not be able to take your Street Fighter character into a new KOF, you still bring the same brain, hands, and experiences from one game to another. When I play Guilty Gear, I'm still using plenty of skills that I practiced in a dozen other fighting games, and it was easier for me to learn because I was already familiar with a lot of the systems from other games. Instant Block is kind of like Garo's Just Defend, Faultless Defense kind of like a Marvel Push Block, and so on. It's not going to feel as immediately satisfying as seeing your net play ranking change color or your tournament ranking number get lower, but it's a lot healthier and a lot more fun than trying to force yourself to do something you think you want. And when it comes down to it, anything you can do to make your fighting game experience as low stress and comfortable as possible is going to be optimal for encouraging your long-term engagement with the genre. And that, more than anything else, is the real key to successful fighting gameplay. You can go as hard as you want to get good in a year or two, but if you churn out after that because you didn't enjoy the experience, you will have not gotten any closer to seeing your full long-term potential. So just do what feels good. Trust that you'll eventually find something that makes you feel the way that I feel about Rev 2. And let your heart be open to anything that strikes your fancy in the meantime. Whatever you're playing now might not be what you're playing in a month or a year, but it'll leave you smarter, stronger, and more self-aware than you were before you started playing it. Thanks for listening.